Good evening. Welcome to Siddha-Vetha webinar series. Today we have this series is for youth. It's called a youth special webinar, and the speaker will be Varshini Velraj. Varshini Velraj is a 16-year-old junior at Oakton High School in Virginia. She's a research assistant at the Siddha-Vetha Center, and she's currently working on the project on the effect of focused cognition enhancement exercise, which is a new technique, and this is the first time it is being done. And she enjoys learning about our ancient culture and scientific knowledge hidden in this culture. So today the title of the talk will be Effect of Focused Cognition Enhancement Exercise on the Senses. I welcome Varshini, please.
Hello. Yeah.
Yes, go ahead, start please.
Of course. So my presentation is obviously on the effect of focused cognition enhancement exercises, FCEE, on the senses. And it's it's not a new science. It's actually a very ancient science. So I've been very inspired by the work of the sage scientist Abhayar. So I dedicate this to her. And so my hypothesis is that FCEE can increase the sensitivity of senses by increasing the capacity of memory cells. So first I'd like to start off with explaining the senses. As you know, we all have 5 senses: sight, taste, sound, smell, and touch. And each of those are connected to our brain, and they each activate a different area of our brain and utilize a different area of our brain to give us signals and process what our senses, the information that our senses receive. This is a picture of a brain showing with parts labeled. Here, as you can see, there's vision, taste, touch, smell, and hearing. And how the human body receives sensory information, right? So the nervous system has to receive and process information about the world to react, communicate, and keep the body healthy and safe. Most of this information comes from the 5 main senses: skin, through, of course, through our 5 main organs, sense organs, sorry, the tongue, the eye, the ear, the nose, and the skin. The specialized cells and tissues within these organs receive the stimuli from the outside world. Like, say, you hear a sound, your ear receives the sound, and your nerves relay the signals to your brain, which then converts the sound into something that you can understand and process, right? So this is the process through which information like sounds, sights, smells, and the touch, the feeling of something gets inputted into your memory and your brain. So as you can see, this is the how each of the sensory organ receives information. Eyes translate sight into image, ear transforms sound waves into sound signals that you can understand and interpret. Skin sends touch signals to your brain, which again, your brain translates those stimulations into something that you can understand. And the nose takes in the chemicals makeup of the molecules in the air and sends signals to your brain, so your brain can understand it using what you already know. And the tongue, of course, it takes in what you're eating and whatever you put in your mouth and translates that into different tastes that you again can recognize. So especially I'd like to focus on taste because that's what my research is focused on. According to ancient Indian sciences and everyone else, there are 6 tastes: sweet, sour, pungent, astringent, bitter, and salty. So most of these will be familiar to everybody, but astringent is the one taste that's also known as umami. It's the taste you get from nellika, from amla, from gooseberries, and it's the one taste that most people have a difficulty recognizing. And so we were talking about how FCEE, focused cognition enhancement exercise, affects taste, right? So for my research, I had 2 groups of people, and this was at separate times. So each group would have to taste different pieces of the same apple and report the intensity of each taste in that piece of apple, right? And after that, I recorded their results saying how much of each of the 6 tastes that they recognized in the apple piece. And after that, they were led through a short exercise of FCEE, a short SCEE, and they were, the process was them being asked to close their eyes for 30 seconds and focus on one particular sense and how they use that sense to perceive the apple. This was, of course, repeated 5 times. Well, no, for each taste. It was repeated 5 times. And they were asked to, for each sense, and they were asked to taste the apple again and report the 6 tastes again. My purpose was to figure out if there was a significant increase or decrease in what they reported before and after this FCEE, because I do believe that this can help people focus their senses and sharpen their senses enough that they can notice minute differences notice and concentrate on the differences that one particular food might, the different makeups, the different tastes that make up a particular food in comparison to other foods. So I used 2 groups, of course. My first group was 6 children between the ages of 10 and 14, and my second group was 3 adults. This is just the beginning, and this was just to see how this FCEE would affect people and if it would affect people. And I really do hope to take this to a next level and get a much larger and more diverse groups to do a large number of a large number of foodstuffs and with different conditions in to test how exactly it affects things. So for group 1, we're going to be focusing on group 1 here because I think that's the most significant group due to its larger number. The effect of meditation on sweet taste, right? So before, as you can see, these were my participants, P2, P3, P4, P5, P6, P7, and they all reported, most of them reported a increase in their sensation of the sweet taste after SCEE, right? I believe this is due to them not really, due to FCEE having an effect on how much they actually concentrate on what they're consuming. Especially nowadays, I feel like most of us don't really think about what we're eating. A lot of us tend to just, be watching TV or on our computer or something while also eating on the side. And even if we're not distracted in that way, anyway, when we're eating, we are not focusing on our food. According to our ancestors or ancient traditions, we need to truly sit down, eat the food while focusing on it and thinking of nothing but the food itself to actually absorb the nutrients in the food and also experience the food instead of merely just putting it in your mouth. For the other few tastes, right, like sweet, salt, sour, and astringent, they did have some of them did show an increase or a decrease, but for some tastes, like again, astringent and bitter, the the severity of the taste was almost always the same before and after FCEE. And I believe that is because apples don't really have much of an astringent or a bitter taste. And due to that, participants did not really notice a change. But as you can see, in tastes that apples do have, such as sweetness, saltiness, and sourness, saltiness to a degree, you can see how this focused exercise really helped them experience their food on a better level. So I think, again, this is just my data. Oh, thank you. I got muted. So this is a chart showing my findings. As you can see, 67% of people, 67%, 83%, and 67% again, respectively, showed an increased sensitivity after FCEE. I think this shows that FCEE does have an effect on people's perceptions of the different tastes. I think, like as I mentioned, it did not have a significant effect on the perception of tastes that were not present in the food that we tested for. But for the taste that did occur in the foods we tested for, there was a significant change. So I think there's a lot of applications for this exercise for FCEE. I think it can be used for improving the sensitivity of sensory organs, because due to truly focusing on and honing our senses, you increase the amount of time you spend focusing on it and improving it, and that leads to having an improved sensitivity. And it also improves memory power, because during FCEE, we encourage the participants to think about the taste, the feel, the smell of something that they're not tasting or feeling or smelling right now. That, of course, it makes them dig into their memory and truly consider how their perceptions of what a particular thing tastes, feels, and smells like, right? That encourages you to retrieve the memory, which strengthens your memory power. And it also helps, and this is the main purpose that FCEE was meant to be for. That is as a diagnostic tool, right? As you can see, for some participants here, right, they really did not show a change at all, right? And you can see some places where participants had a radically different view of what tastes there were when compared to other ones. And I did not include that data on my presentation right here. That's my bad, I'm sorry. But we did have a participant who consistently showed different, rated their sensory perceptions on a largely different number than most of the group. And outliers like that are a symptom of a problem that they may have with sensitivity. And that particular lack of sensitivity when it comes to a particular taste or a particular sense can really show us that something might be going on with their body that they themselves might not know. I think with further research, we can really hone this technique to a point where we can confidently make diagnoses like that. And that is my main goal for FCEE. And for the future of FCEE, I'm really looking forward to doing more research with, again, varied groups of people, because this was just a trial run and I did not get to include as many people as I would have liked to, or as different people as I would have liked to. Because again, this was just two main groups, children and adults, right? And I do think there has to be more variation, like gender and specific age groups and what they were. And I do think I need to test for other foods, other circumstances, and I need to understand more about each person to confidently be able to make diagnoses or suggest things about, suggest what their results might mean to them, and that requires going more in depth, in detail. And I would like to raise funds for research like that, and I really want to focus on the real world applications of this. This is, again, as I mentioned, this is not a new science. This is an ancient science that we're trying to revive and make possible and make useful for the modern age for now. And I think the main part of that is looking into real world applications of anything that we're doing. I think that's the most important part of science, to understand our science and history, to understand our history and our ancestors so we can take what they used and make sure we can apply it in the real world. Thank you.
Thank you. Now open for questions. Please, any youth participants? First preference will be given to youth participants for any questions. So you have a wow, very nice presentation from Kalpana Satyawal. So, okay. Any youth participants? Well, anybody can ask a question, but I just give it the youth first. Okay. Now open to the adults. You have any questions, any suggestions? I am going to unmute you all. Give me a second. I'm going to unmute. Okay, you can unmute yourself now if you want to.
Thank you. I've been trying to do that for the last 2 minutes.
Okay.
All right, Varshini, this is Ashwini. Question for you.
Yes,
great
ma'am.
job. I really
Thank
like your
you.
presentation. I think it's important to pick one topic and stick to it, and you tried your best. So my first question for you is, what have you applied in your lifestyle after doing this research, and what changes did you see?
Okay, so I have been more cognizant of what I've been eating. Like, as you know, I'm a junior and I really don't have enough time to take the time to eat separately and do work separately. So I just tend to like eat while I'm doing work or while I'm doing something else. And I've tried to reduce the number of times I do that. I won't say that I've been successful because Amma's listening and she knows I haven't been. But I have been trying to focus on my food more. And when I am eating, right, I try to focus on each taste more, because after doing this exercise, you can try it yourself at home and you will see a difference, right, in how sensitive you are to each taste and each food that you're eating.
Try to unmute. Yes, that's great. You know, first we got to transform ourselves before we, inform what your findings are. But on a side note, I'm sure many adults in the group already know, with the rising epidemic of obesity, more in kids and everybody. This is a very important topic for kids, teenagers, parents alike. We really need to be what we call as intuitively eating and really be away from electronic gadgets and, pay attention. And that has a lot of value than the traditional so-called dieting system. So yes, it's a very important topic in this day and age. Good job.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. What unit of measure was used? I used the same scale for both kids and adults. It was just a simple scale of 1 to 10. They would rate the severity of each taste. Like, for example, 1 is the least severe and 10 is the most severe. So, for example, if you're eating cake, you'd probably put the sweetness at 10 and the saltiness at 1 or 0.
Yeah. Any other questions? I hope you were able to capture what she spoke. She's 16 years old, and I think she did a very good job for her age.
Yeah.
And I hope it's a lesson for the parents too. It's a main lesson for the parents, because if you don't do mindfully, and we are with the computer and all the gadgets in our hand and you're eating, so we are actually not doing the right thing, because your sensory perception, it doesn't feel, the food goes inside, your sense doesn't feel, and so you do not get the effect of the healing effect in the first place. Second place, you're taking something else. Your sense is looking, is one sense. You're looking in your Facebook and somebody is stealing or doing some violence, that goes inside you through the food. So so mindful eating is very important. And so we have to slow down ourselves and exclusively have some time for eating. At least when you're eating, you should eat mindfully, and then rest all will come. Then you will think that, okay, not only eating, whatever we are doing, we have to do mindfully. So so it's very important. I think this research can take you to great heights, Varshini. It's a very wonderful research that you're doing. So yeah. Well, we have is Ritisha here? So Ritisha is from is Ritisha here? Okay, she's from California. She published her first paper.
Oh yeah, I saw her webinar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's here.
Oh, that's cool.
No, I'm just seeing her. Maybe she's not here. Okay. Okay. So Ritisha published first paper. You can. I got the link, so you can go to vrapress.org in Ancient Science.
Mm-hmm.
She published her first paper.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the person who presented last month for the the youth webinar. So I'm hoping Varshini will be the next one to publish a paper, and hopefully she will have a patent also for this technique.
Mm-hmm.
So so that is the idea of this. We will have more papers, and the one thing I wanted to tell you is that these kids paper, there were 13 papers sent, and they were accepted for in institutes to be distributed around India. There is in different places like IIT, IAC, and different, there's exhibition going on. So 13 papers were accepted.
Oh wow.
Number two, these papers are going to be presented in couple of 3 conferences.
Mm-hmm.
One of the conference will be in Chicago. It's a FETNA, is the, everybody knows, the federation, the Tamil there's a conference associated with FETNA this year. Is the Tamil conference, and they accepted these papers. It's a for presenting, we have an exclusive dedicated place for this. Then we have a conference organized in Santa Clara. It's in biggest expo, wellnessexpo.org. You can check that website. So there are more than 4,000 to 5,000 people coming to that event. So they're going to be presented there. And also we have Society for Scientific Exploration that's taking place in Colorado. So these are places all these posters will go. So this is something, it's a great accomplishment for their age group. And this with the age group, they are being guided so that they can choose integrative practices. Not only in medical science, you can go to any areas in management or any other. There is mindful management they are doing on money and finance and mindful finance, right? Like Zen money and things like that. There are various areas in ancient science that can be integrated, and that is the future. So I would strongly suggest everybody to so if you have kids at this age group, you're welcome. We have requested for more space for all the posters. So you will so they will of course there will be a screening, but we'll make sure everything is done properly and accepted. And we are also working on some grants, possibly a bigger grant from the government of India for all these things. And we have been negotiating with them. So probably some of these will be funded. So I request, to be, alert about this. And if you have any teenage kids, you can send them to us, and we will train them. And we have a special, if you wanted to attend, there is in June, we are going to have a youth career accelerator program. It's a 2 weeks program, and your kid can be there, and they will be trained within 2 weeks, all the ancient science knowledge and technology. So at least that goes inside the brain. So the kids who published here, they attended these courses, couple of years back. So they were able to publish that. So same thing with if you have kids, if they wanted to attend, it's an online course. Sometimes we have it physically. We had physically in the past, but this time we are thinking of mostly online. So there are a bunch of experts in different areas. They will be training your kids how to write papers, how to different subjects on ancient science and integrate with modern science. So this is one of the things that we are doing, and we all request all of you to support this continuously. So one way we can generate to support this community is by you taking our courses. That will help. We can, because these kids, we need time, and it's an expenditure involved in this, as you all know. In this country, they need to travel, they need to dedicate extra time for this, and we need fund. So any kind of fund, we are going to open a separate fund for exclusively for these kids stipend. So it's a summer stipend. So we're going to name it. We'll let you know what kind of stipend it is, but at least we will have some fund for this kind of activity for the youth. So that's one of our goals, and we are planning to have 108 students in different topics to become the first people to build on that different areas and give it to the world. And we will have our continuous support. So we are going to make them the leaders of this world with 108 students. So whoever is involved It is up to them. It's not, we are not going to choose, or there is no screening or anything. If they are motivated, they're going to work with us. So that's the only thing required. As long as they have motivation, interest, they can do it. There's nothing to stop them. And so not like saying you're bad in this, you're bad in that. We are not identifying what is good in that kid. Instead, we compare with other kids and we suppress them, saying you don't have this knowledge, and and therefore the kid thinks that I don't have this knowledge. And that's how our modern world is training them, modern education system. So we want to change that. We want to show that what is the potential hidden in that kid, right? How we can bring that out. So each kid is very unique. So you have to understand the uniqueness of the personalities. Then we will be able to really bring a lot of things, very innovative things. There's a technology involved. These are patenting. These are real-time devices, real-time applications. Right? This is not what you're talking about. Some stories. There's no stories here. It's a real-time application, and that's what we are doing. And this is very expanding. Not many in the people from the Asian countries who came here know that much, especially the Indian community, about what is happening around in the world. So the top thing is like integrated holistic approach in medicine or any other field. That is really expanding. And now only you're looking at very old technologies. What you're learning is a very old technology, is 30 years back. And that's what you're enjoying now. Oh, I'm going to build a house, I'm going to buy a car, and these kind of things. It's a very old thought, this process. That's all gone. People here have seen all these things, so now they are looking for something really new, and this is a new area. And the one of the other thing is we wanted to bring a coaching center, Siddha Holistic Coaching Center, where we wanted to, so you can also train, coach other people. So that's one area. And we are also training, we will be training these kids. So we will have that license also shown. Okay. So Varshini, you have some more comments. Varshini, great job. Wish you all success. And I am very glad that you're taking interest in ancient science to take it forward. All the best, Vikram.
Yeah, thank you.
And Mahendra, I'm very happy for you, Varshini, friend.
Oh, it's a message. I can't see that right now.
Okay.
Oh, is that Mahendra Uncle? Hi, Mahendra Uncle. I didn't know you were here.
Yeah. Okay.
Varshini, very happy.
Hi, Uncle.
Okay. Okay. So, Sam, thank you. Pretty interesting topic.
Thank you.
Sam. Okay. Okay. Any questions? Then you can. Because Varshini, you have to say anything?
Not really, except oh yeah, thank you for attending, and I definitely update you guys after I do more research.
Thank you.
Okay, great job, Sadish Mohanraj. Okay, he says great job. So wonderful. And remember, like the next speaker will be Sadhana on the Siddha ophthalmology. Siddha ophthalmology is about the eyes. So you can learn from that. It's very practical. And we will have other speakers too. And all the speakers will be, you just count down your days and you see after 1 year where they're going to be. Okay. So, all right. So I'm very happy. So thank you all for your time. And we are having our ancient agriculture course. Don't forget to register. That's the course that's coming up next. Ancient agriculture course, and followed by the youth career accelerator program. So agriculture course, there is a lot of demand, very practical course where we're expecting some Italians also this time join. So please make use of this opportunity. Thank you. Have a wonderful Right. So some comments are great to youth energy shining and also making the world around you shine. Okay, Mahendran, and then way to go, Varshini from Rama. Okay, thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.